to Article 1 constituted members of this House to reach out to their Senate counterparts for commencing the mediation process. The mediation committee should, as soon as it's practicable, meet and commence the process of developing a version of the bill for consideration by the Houses of Parliament in accordance with Article 113 of the Constitution. The House is accordingly guided. I thank you. To order number 7. Wapi Waziri, Chief Whip? Honorable Gisairo, before we get to the questions, can you make your request for a statement?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 44.2c, I wish to request for a statement from the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Communication, Information and Innovation regarding the policy applied by Safaricom PLC on transmission of political messages. Honorable Speaker, in recent months, numerous users of various premium rate service providers, PRSP, and customers whose applications for sender IDs are whitelisted as pre-approved entities have been experiencing blocking of transmission of political messages. This raises significant concerns about transparency and fairness of the criteria used by Safaricom PLC to determine messages deemed to be acceptable and those which are not. Political messaging is a vital aspect of our democratic process, allowing candidates to communicate in their platforms and engage with voters. By blocking certain political messages, Safaricom PLC may inadvertently favor specific political entities over others, which could cause an imbalance in the political landscape. The lack of clear guidelines and communication from Safaricom regarding this policy undermines democratic engagement and the free flow of information. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Communication, Information and Innovation on the following. 1, a report on whether the policy by Safaricom PLC, if any, regarding transmission of political messages aligns with the constitutional provisions and laws safeguarding freedom of speech and communication and consumer rights of access to information. 2, steps taken by Safaricom PLC to ensure that the process for blocking sender IDs, particularly in the political context, is impartial and free from bias. 3, the policy framework and administrative mechanism for affected parties to seek redress or appeal, including seeking refund for the whitelisted sender IDs. 4, the criteria for approving or blocking transmission of political bulk messages and the safeguards put in place by Safaricom PLC to prevent the message blocking system from being exploited for political gain or to suppress certain viewpoints. And 5, a report on whether Safaricom PLC allows inter-network termination of messages to other networks, particularly Airtel. And if not, the interventions required for Safaricom to allow inter-network termination and facilitate a common sender ID for messages sent through the two service providers, particularly by businesses and organizations, so as to enhance their brand recognition and improve the overall user experience. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chair Communication. Osoro, who is your chairman for Communication? Is it KJ?
KJ, Honorable Speaker, ICT.
Where is the Vice Chair or a member of committee?
The Honorable Alpha Miruka, but we have the Honorable Bernard Kitur.
Kitur? We
Mr.
are
Speaker,
breaking next Thursday. Are you able to bring a response before Thursday?
yes, Mr. Speaker, we'll try to do that. Of course,
We'll give you an opportunity on Wednesday afternoon.
Wednesday afternoon, well guided.
Thank you. Honorable members, in the public gallery, I want to acknowledge the presence of Shisele Tosha Community Based Organization from Ikolomani constituency, Kakamega County, who are visiting the House of Parliament. On my behalf and on your behalf, I welcome the delegation to the House of Parliament and encourage them to feel at home in the House of Parliament. Thank you. We'll go now to questions. CS Education. We have quite a number of questions directed at your ministry. We are constrained with time. I expect your answers to be succinct, precise, and concise. To each question, there will be the questioner, a clarification, and probably one joyride at the very most, so that we can be able to run through quickly. Question 016 of 2024, Robert Mbui, member for Kadhiani. Question stayed. Question 089 of 2024, Honorable Stanley Mudhama, member for Lamu West. Stanley Mudhama, in fact, in enforcing your early attendance of the House, Robert Mbui's question is dropped. Stanley Mudhama's question is dropped. Question number 090-2024, member for Westlands. Member for Westlands.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I ask the Cabinet Secretary for Education the following questions. Could the Cabinet Secretary explain the rationale and policy behind the directive transferring secondary school teachers in physics, chemistry, biology, and history to junior secondary schools? Number two, state the measures implemented to ensure harmony in primary schools, especially considering the different uniforms and titles for grade 7 pupils and class 8. 3, provide a list of secondary school lacking functional laboratories. Clarify the number of times candidates in these schools have taken KCSE practical exams elsewhere, and state whether these schools will be equipped with laboratories before equipping junior secondary schools. Question number 4, outline the total number of lessons each pupil is supposed to offer per week, the requisite hours for rest, and why there has been an increase in the number of primary school pupils attending lessons over the weekends. Question number 5, give reasons why the book, the the Diary of Wimp Kit, which contains very obscene language, has not been banned from the circulation, outline measures put in place to ensure books with improper language are not allowed into the country. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
CS.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for those questions. Mr. Speaker, the answer to question 1 is that the government has not issued and or made any policy directive to transfer secondary school teachers in any physics, chemistry, biology, and history to junior school. There's no such policy by the government. Question 2, the measures taken. Mr. Speaker, junior schools are domiciled in existing primary schools. The ministry issued the guidelines for the implementation of junior school education in January 2023. Mr. Speaker, the guidelines stipulate that junior school leadership shall determine the uniform for their schools in consultation with the respective stakeholders and the sub-county director of education. This includes additional unique features for identification and branding clear the determination of school uniforms through stakeholder involvement is to ensure that the specific school community decides on the uniforms that is sensitive to their needs of the school, thereby ensuring that there is harmony. In any event, Mr. Speaker, junior school and primary schools are under the same board management and the same head of institution, thereby creating a basis for harmonious functioning in the same institution. Mr. Speaker, we also wish to inform the House that the last cohort of Class 8 sat their examinations in December 2023. Currently, all learners in grade 7 onwards are in junior school under the competency-based education. Mr. Speaker, on question 3, the schools that are lacking functional laboratories. Mr. Speaker, the list of schools without laboratories is provided in Annex 1 of our written. There are, however, a total of 6 secondary schools countrywide. Mr. Speaker, in the next financial year, made a plan to construct approximately 2,000 laboratories in secondary schools, and that will become schools that do not have laboratories at the moment. Mr. Speaker, we will also be seeking the support of the House to provide further resources for the construction of these particular laboratories, especially as we approach the 100% transition to senior school next year. I wish to once again thank members of Parliament for the support they have given us in funding infrastructure development in schools through NGCDF. We look forward to further support in equipping these secondary schools and these labs. Mr. Speaker, I wish to request for additional time to be able to provide information on the actual number of times that candidates in each of these specific KCSE practical exams elsewhere other than in the schools that they are supposed to have done because of the lack of the laboratories. I wasn't able to get that information. Lower primary, which is grade 1 to 3, and upper primary, which is grade 4 to 6. The implementation of the curriculum is designed in a timetable that changes with the levels as the learners graduate or progress. The timetable for pre-primary level presents 5 lessons per day and 25 lessons per week, and they have 4 breaks each, including day break. At the lower primary level, grade 1 to 3, the timetable presents 6 lessons per day, 31 lessons per week with 4 breaks per day. At the upper primary level, grade 4 to 6, the timetable provides for 7 lessons per day, 35 lessons per week, which lasts for 30 minutes each. There are 4 breaks per day. At grade 7, 8, and 9, which is junior school, the timetable presents 8 lessons per day. Each lesson takes 40 minutes. There are 41 lessons per week, including pastoral times, and there are 4 breaks per day. Mr. Speaker, I wish to confirm that the official timetable does not accommodate any programs for attending lessons over the weekend. Learners are expected to rest on Saturdays and Sundays and on public holidays. Any instances in which learners are required to attend school over the weekend will be therefore irregular. The ministry will take appropriate corrective action once such cases are reported to us. In the response, Mr. Speaker, I have provided a table that stipulates what I have just indicated, and I do not need to go through it because of time, but it is clear that we have 25 lessons for pre-primary per week, 31 35 lessons for grade 4 and 6, 41 lessons junior school. Mr. Speaker, on the question of the book, The Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the mentioned book is not part of the books that are Institute of Curriculum Development for use in our schools. The regulation, however, of books circulating in Kenya is within the purview of the Ministry of Information, Communication and Digital Economy with the legal framework of the Books and Newspapers Act Cap 111. We have brought the subject matter to the attention of the said ministry for appropriate action, and we will follow up to confirm that that particular offending book has been deregistered from approval.
Member for Westlands.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would like to ask the Minister Bwana says we have these teachers who are employed by the Board of Management, BOM. So sometimes when these teachers are absorbed by TSC, why is it that when they are absorbed by TSC, they are posted they're operating, they are not even allowed to back to the schools that have actually been supporting them. They are even posted outside the county. I remember within my constituency, there were teachers who were employed by a BOM, and when they were absorbed by TSC, they were posted to Kajiado and other counties outside Nairobi. Why is that so? And Bwana CS, then the GSS, there are some schools that have got more children in this junior secondary, and you find that the ratio teacher to the pupils, to the students, is like some schools just have about 1 or 2 teachers. How do you ensure that these children will get adequate lessons from these teachers? Because I don't think 2 teachers can manage to handle 200 students alone. Thank you.
Yes, yes, Ferdinand Wanyonyi, and you'll be the only joyrider to that.
Yeah, on question number 4, the CS, you have said that it's illegal for schools to have lessons over the weekend. Pana CS, I don't know why it should be illegal, because there is also a catch-up. Just in case there's a problem, maybe the teacher was sick or something like that. Why should you say this will be illegal to have lessons over the weekend? Yet that is just maybe for the particular class or whatever to catch up in case there's been a problem.
CS.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the question of the BM teachers who are absorbed by TSC, once the teachers have been absorbed by TSC, they become subject to the guidelines and regulations that govern the TSC employed teachers, one of which is that they can be transferred to work anywhere in the country. And that is the reason why that transfer happened and you have moved from where you were to another place, because now you are subject to a completely different set of regulations and you become a teacher of TSC, not the teacher for that particular BOM school. And that is the reason why that transfer or that posting is done. The question of the teacher-student ratio in JSS, it is true we have a shortage of the teachers, but the ministry through TSC and other stakeholders have employed 46,000 intern teachers to curb this shortage. We're also planning to employ another 20,000 teachers, and during the month of December, TSC and other multi-agency organizations will be retooling the existing teachers so that they are trained well enough to be able to take up the lessons that are required for grade 9 in the junior school, so that that gap is reduced. But the reason why we have those shortages is because of financial constraints, and as we keep getting budgets, we'll keep increasing the number and reducing the gap of the teacher-student ratio. And we are going to be ensuring that we are using other aids, including digital teaching, so that the students get as much as possible out of the lessons they are getting in order for them to get the actual standard lessons that they need to get. I indicated that on the question of weekend lessons, they are not official. I didn't say they are illegal, Mheshimiwa Wanyonyi. I said it is irregular. It's not usual. It is irregular because it's not a legal requirement for us to have them over the weekends. But where teachers and the students agree and the parents, they can have those remedial classes in agreement by consent. But it's not a government policy that we should have lessons on weekends as a legal or as a circular or as a government position. It is something that they can do as an arrangement in themselves. But it is not illegal. I said it is irregular. There's a bit of a difference there. Thank you, Mwesh.
Question 091 of 2024, member for Kinango. Honorable Gonzirai.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to ask question number 091. Could the Cabinet Secretary provide the status of the delayed pension payment for Mr. Salim Mdalundegwa, who was a teacher at Nzovuni Primary School up to 30th of June 2022, when he was put on compulsory retirement? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The processing of Mr. Salim Mdalundegwa's pension stalled due to the disparities in his set of names as indicated on the various documents in the teacher service record. The teacher's names on record seem to refer to different persons. The commission duly communicated this to the teacher. He was requested to obtain a deed poll if he intended to have changed his names. It is noted from the record that the teacher's documents bear the following different sets of names: Salim Mndalo as one set, Ndegwa Mundalo as another set, Mundalu Chirunga another set, and lastly Mundalu Salim Ndegwa Chirunga, respectively. These disparities were noted on the academic and professional testimonials, as well as the old generation identity card that that particular teacher used. A reminder was sent to the teacher via a letter dated 15 February 2024 to submit a deed poll in order to regularize his names. However, to date, that teacher has not submitted the same to facilitate the finalization of his claim. A copy of the letter to the teacher is provided as annexure number 2. Thank you. I submit.
Gonzirai, I think that is very clear. Do you have any supplementary?
It is very clear, but what is actually bothering me is that on 6th of February 2024, I wrote to them requesting if there was any problem. Today I'm being told they wrote on 15th and the teacher has not received that letter. Currently he's in hospital. So if I could just get a copy of that letter, I could just facilitate the deed plan for the exercise to be expedited. Thank you.
Provide the details to...
We'll provide the details before we leave.
Didoraso.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Waziri, the issue that has been presented to you is not a standalone one. Teachers work for very many years, maybe 40 years, 45, stretching up to 50 years. But when it comes to pension, they actually slog. They spend a lot of money to come to Nairobi to look for their pension. Are you able to put a policy in place such that those who worked for many years actually will receive their pension in needs? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I'm discouraging many joyriders, but as give Honorable Melemba the mic.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I conform. The question, the way it has been answered, looks very simple and easy, but good luck. Somebody else has talked about it. What is the ministry doing about pensions for teachers? Because now it's a broad thing that's affecting many families, that many teachers are unable to get their pensions on time. Thank you.
Dorothy, what is it? I said I want only one joyrider. Give Dorothy.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I too rise to ask the ministry what they are doing to streamline this pension payment to alleviate the suffering of teachers who retire. Honorable Speaker, it is evident that, as it has been alluded, that teachers work for close to 40 years, and after retire, they languish, and some of them eventually die even before receiving their pension payment. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Speaker. This concern is well noted, and since we are doing the review of the actual TSC acts and other legal instruments that govern this sector, we will indeed bring it upon ourselves to ensure that we have done an amendment to how the pension fund to get their pension. It should be done while they are in service during the last year of their service. So we'll include it in our regulations.
Question 0. Question 093 of 2020. Question dropped. You can't joyride. '24. Mandazi. Honorable Victor Fonyeri Town. Order. Of 2024. Komilemba.
For Education. The Cabinet Secretary explain why the ministry is yet to provide authorization for purpose of conducting fresh sub-counties. In various counties and sub. Mission was to do promotions of more teachers, but somewhat they have been curtailed by treasury, but they just need to use their own monies. Ministry, you could
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and for the record, Honorable can confirm with you that letter for questions asked by paragraph 5 of the third schedule of provides and national parents associations elected by parents associations from schools is guided by its own does not require the authorization of the Ministry of Education to hold the constitution of the association officials. As a ministry, Mr. Speaker, we are available upon request to provide any facilitative support to the extent possible to enable the associations and undertake free, fair, and transparent elections in accordance with Mr. Speaker, in terms of management at levels, the requirements of paragraph 1 of the third schedule they are functional parents as are also represented required by section 56 subsection 1 promotion of teachers by TSC. I do not have I could be given
Thank you. Remember?
Answer to my question. Association, Honorable Speaker, was actually supposed to be managed in a way that we have a safety valve in our schools. And it was the responsibility of the ministry to make sure that that organ is operating, because originally we had several of them and were competing against each other. And he is aware of that. To be approached for any difficulties, is he aware that such elections have never been held for the last more than 6 years? And therefore, what
All schools or in some specific schools?
All schools, all places. So therefore, what is the ministry doing in its Ministry of Education, running of education, to make sure that
Mr. Speaker, as associations in our schools are functional and may not have taken place is the elections in which is like an umbrella body. And I'm getting that information now that they're look into it and find out what role the ministry can do to
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I know you called my question when I wasn't here. We have a delegation from China, and I had asked a question to the delegation for the answer, as it would be unparliamentary to ask a question to a foreign delegation and then leave. Mr. Speaker, and Mr. Speaker, you know that when we come with these questions, because we tend to
include provision for friendship allowance education training tutors in constituency, despite the Accountants Service Commission receiving such allowance. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At the outset, Mr. Speaker, I wish to state that there are different allowances schemes for the teachers who are employed by the Teacher Service Commission and technical National Public Service. The current designation of hardship service is set out in the Chief of Staff and Head of Public Service dated 7th of December 2015 under reference number OB 0.1.31A. A copy of that circular is annexed as annexure number 5. The area where Yatta Technical Vocational College is located is not among the designated areas or hardship areas. On the other 97, Act includes Yata Division as a hardship area. A copy of the legal notice as an Annex number 6. Mr. Speaker, we are working with the relevant government agencies under the leadership of the Ministry of Public Service and Human Capital Development to streamline the framework on the payment of hardship allowance. We have taken note to highlight to the Ministry of Public Service and Human Development for appropriate action. I submit.
Anthony Lodge. Sorry, Basil.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think the response is not satisfactory and is actually discriminating when you say tutors should not receive allowance like other tutors who are facing the same challenges. I think the ministry needs to do some research to ensure comes to giving allowance to tutors. Mr. Speaker, I also have a question on the capitation funds. Of capitation funds to my primary school. Number two, now we are in examination period. Means of transport, Mr. Speaker, and I raised that question to the ministry. So can the ministry for my to boost their mobility as they discharge or deliver services in the sub-county? Thank you.
I think the cabinet has a duty to let the members know what the general policy is to ensure that TVETs, which these house, to be a bridge between to the universities do not collapse. And I is because of the perennial non-remittance. Could the Cabinet Secretary enlighten what the policy is and that they get capitation like the universities?
Thank you, Mr. TVET. The School of TVET, which has been incomplete for 15 years.
Members, I see so many hands. Tuitum.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Is a weighty matter in this country. In 2021, there was a tripartite task force that went around mapping out regions that need released, and why has it not been released? Because the Ministry of Interior and the TSC to and again, it is the civil service or civil servants within an unsafe area who are supposed to be you are a teacher or you are in any other country. Thank you.
CS.
To Honorable Paz. On the question of capitation, the capitation is normally released based on the exchequer that is received, and it is distributed across the country. I think I was here before. %. There's always a shortfall, and as a government, we try as much as possible to ensure that what we get so that as many children as possible can get to school. Hardship question, and I can answer. True that there are discrepancies on how the issue of hardship is determined, which is a hardship area. It is also not registered as an hardship area. So as a ministry, what we've done is do to the Ministry of Public Service in order for it because like in Yata, you'd find the TSC are determined because they fall in the civil service. That is not right. So we are working towards harmonizing issues surrounding hardship. It is determined, it is clear, there is clarity around it. So we are harmonized. On the has been there is a question of getting that department is to come not complete and work out how much money we require in order for them to completed, and we're going to be presenting this, and hopefully this house will allocate resources. Those particular TVETs that are not completed, even as in terms of the non-remittance of capitation to issue has been addressed. I came into office and I found it was an issue, and we addressed it, and now the resources same time releasing the university capitation. So like now we are releasing the ones for the universities, and we are releasing together with the ones of TVETs because they face the same issues. So it's already been addressed. Thank you.
By some education that are immobilized.
Oh yes, thank you. Thank you. Quite reason. In 2023, we got resources to buy some vehicles for sub-county. Sub-county has a vehicle. So the challenge that we have is not that we budgetary limitations, but once we buy, we continue. So it is in the pipeline. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 099 of 2024. Member our nominating to ask the question on his behalf. Edwin.
So could the one confirm that 12,000 acres of land located at Kisayani up in the area? in building and opening whether there are plans to start a university campus in buildings, and if not, state whether the land sections of the land are being allowed. If so, provide the measures put in place to ensure participation consultation with elected leaders in this process. Thank you very much.
Confirm that the University of Nairobi at Kisayani constituency under land reference number 2506. These are allocated to the university by the government process of relocation and occupants. The primary purpose of the land was to establish a specialized research and training institute and land natural resources. Mr. Speaker, of funding that has hindered the development structure, the university has actively utilized the land and Kisayani for research, training, and community outreach. The strategy is that the university to use the land are as follows. Between 1988 and 1992, the university developed essential infrastructure to support both short and long-term research. Number two, collaboration, particularly with Mashavu University from and supported by USAID funding, the university implemented a state-of-the-art irrigation demonstration center. This project, which operated from 1992 to 2004, Asian vegetables, tropical crops, and fruits, providing significant employment opportunities and enhancing food security for the local community. The university established the Institute of Dryland Research Development, conducting research on dryland resource utilization. engages with local communities through workshops and seminars focusing on livestock as crops, forestry, and land rehabilitation. The university infrastructure on the land for department research, training, are fully the facility center of excellence supporting as follows. The Department of Land Resource Research in the rangeland equation. Number 2, the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine utilizes the facility outreach services. Number 3, the Department of Geospatial experimental learning inland survey remote sensing. In collaboration with the Kenya Meteorology the Department of Geology has established a significant research on Mr. Speaker, maintains a comprehensive demonstration field where the university promotes livestock management, agriculture, dryland and serve a crucial studies and biodiversity monitoring and the land is therefore under active utilization and resettled in there are no grounds for going into the future, Mr. Speaker. The university's master plan of the Kisayani site through the following to integrate local development priorities through reforestation and dryland biodiversity conservation initiatives, and 3, mobilizing resources in the area of climate resilience, Mr. Speaker, private investors. The land acquired 2 hectares, that measuring 6.8 acres of the land, for upgrading of the university has current partnership with the Kenya Forestry Research Institute and the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, which advance the university's research objectives, carefully conducts council benefiting dryland communities, while ITTA supports the Kibwezi Entrepreneur Youth Group, providing crucial agricultural entrepreneurship training. The university has also boarding primary school, which occupies a portion of the land. School is not used for any private activities and does not affect the university's. I submit.
Thank you.
Both for primary and secondary, both for secondary and the ordinary schools. And provide details of the criteria to special needs institutions, including whether it considered the ratio of teachers to pupils, and lastly, elaborate on the measures being taken by the ministry to ensure that special needs institutions have enough teachers and necessary facilities
There are 378 integrated primary schools, 378 integrated primary special needs education schools in the country, with an enrollment of 40,202 learners. There are 2,514 special primary schools with an enrollment of 77,283 learners. There are 81 secondary schools, special needs education schools, with a total enrollment of 783 learners. There are 155 special needs education institutions with an enrollment of 303 learners. We also have 112 educational special needs education institutions with a total enrollment of 2,067 learners. Mr. Speaker, the TSC Commission needs education schools based on teachers to pupils, number 2, the type of disability, and number 3, the level of disability. Accordingly, Mr. Speaker, pursuant to that classification of disability under the sector policy, learners and trainees with disabilities 2018, the pupil-teacher ratio for various categories of SNE of special needs education is as shown as follows. Number Number one, the mentally handicapped have a teacher-student ratio of 1 to 10. Mentally handicapped that is severe as a teacher-student has a teacher-learner ratio of 1 to 4. Physically handicapped have a teacher-learner ratio of 1 to 15. Cerebral palsy has a teacher-learner ratio of 1 to 4. Hearing impaired has a teacher-learner ratio of 1 to 12. A teacher-learner ratio of 1 to 15. But the deaf-blind have a teacher-learner ratio of 1 to 1. To address the current schools and units, the Teacher Service Commission has employed the following measures. It has deployed 5,300 regular schools to special schools and units in the 2023-2024 and 2024 year in 4 phases as follows. In phase 1, it was and 1763 teachers were deployed. In phase 2, September 2024, 1,200 teachers were deployed. In phase 3, January 2025, it is intended to deploy 1,200 teachers, and in phase 4, we'll deploy another 1,200 teachers. The Commission has completed the deployment of teachers in phase 1 and 2 and will commence the deployment of phase 3 and 4 in January. The Commission is in the process of recruiting 344 special needs education teachers in turns handling learners with special needs, namely cerebral palsy, impaired, visually impaired, and physically
Odanga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Special needs need to be and given priority even over other institutions in the country. Looking at the numbers of pupils and students, by the Cabinet Secretary, this comes countrywide, and I'm not secondary school special needs institutions. Then I think that Kenyans are being starved of special needs education institutions in the country, and something needs to be done to improve. Because if you have those are mainly pupils, and then 81, those are mainly pupils, and then in primary. and only 8 who in special needs education are disappearing somewhere. Needs to be addressed by the Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Speaker. In number 2, when looking at the ratio of students to teachers, for a mentally handicapped institution to have a ratio of 1 to 10 is far below the par, and this needs to be addressed. These are mentally handicapped children. Having one teacher, then there's something totally wrong that needs to be addressed urgently. The ratio is far too addressed. Honorable Speaker, many of these teachers, which the Cabinet Secretary have said, who have transited from the ordinary schools to the special needs institutions, take too long even to be paid their allowances. You know, they are paid some allowances. And even I'm bothered why some aspects of the trainers are handled in the Teacher Service Commission and other aspects are handled by the ministry. Why not all of them go to the Teacher Service Commission so that they are handled in one place? The issues are handled at the ministry. It is being handled at the ministry. So there is an issue here to make sure that these teachers are allowances. You can imagine the children they are handling throughout, and then they are not given their allowances on time, and even their payment, Honorable Speaker, is slow. Devices,
you are
they
now
also need them.
Instead of,
Honorable Speaker,
you are supposed to seek a clarification on the answer as given, but you are now debating.
Honorable Speaker, so I would like the Cabinet information given. There are still lots of loopholes that he needs to
Nabi.
Honorable Speaker, further the answers given by the Cabinet Secretary, I would want to find out whether the Cabinet Secretary is aware that Mukuyu Special School, Maturu Special School, and Lumani Special School
do not have enough teachers in the ratio he has indicated. Secondly, whether the cabinet is aware that in preparation for the CBC implementation in the senior school, there are no schools in sub-counties that will ensure 100% students who require special schools. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Masito is Masito, Mama Mombasa. You are sitting in.
Mheshimiwa Spika, samahani, leo sehemu yangu imevamiwa, ndio maana nimekaa huku. Mheshimiwa Spika, ningependa kumuuliza bwana waziri, kwa nini walimu wengi wamefanya kazi ndefu bila wao kupata promotion, Mheshimiwa Spika, kisha kuna ile pesa ambao wanafunzi wanalipia wanahitaji ile pesa, samahani, remedial school fees yote, lakini anafukuzwa nyumbani kwa sababu ya remedial. Hii pesa ya remedial, Mheshimiwa Waziri, imekuja kusaidia kitu gani, na mbona lazima watoto walipe, Mheshimiwa Spika?
Masomo ya
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika, wakati mwingine mwanafunzi mshinda mwalimu. Mheshimiwa Waziri, kwa nini watoto ile pesa ya masomo ya ziada, na wakati ambapo watakuwa wamelipa ile Mheshimiwa Spika, na hawa walimu pia wanalazimishwa kwenda za mbali sana nyumbani, sumbua sana, wanaacha familia hawawezi kuweza kufocus na ile masomo, Mheshimiwa Spika.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The ratios that we have given were analyzed in of the handicap and the disability, where we will determine that there are shortages. It is what we are doing, as indicated earlier. We have in the ordinary schools are the same ones we have in, but we'll give it special attention so that we can have many more teachers being employed for the special needs, so that we reduce of the teacher-learner the question relating to the teachers' allowances, that is handled by the Teacher Service Commission. They actually handle all the issues relating both the teachers that are in normal schools and the teachers that are in the special needs schools. Deal with that aspect, we only deal with policy, and when issues like these have come come up with policies that can make that their work smoother and that much more cohesive. Now, in terms of the schools that Honorable Nabi has indicated that they do not have the the teacher-learner ratio that I've indicated, we details at hand of the numbers, and we determine, then we liaise with see to see whether there is something that can be done in that space. I don't numbers for those particular schools. That is Lumani, Makuyu School, and Mulanyu Special School. So we look to assist with and work with TSC to see thousand teachers that are going to have some done for that space. The question 100% transition is the same thing that we are working on. As you are aware, we are doing a transition right now, the various classrooms, etc., to ensure that our students have study. So we are looking into that. Doing the infrastructure. Walimu wengi bila kupata promotion. There is a program of promotion that is done by the TSC. I'm aware that promotion of life for this promotion, and there is an spaces that are available, but TSC is having that particular. Somo ya kurekebisha za ziada by the ministry. Happening, then we take action on those teachers. No parent is supposed to pay levies. They are irregular levies. I submit.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And 100% transition to and Mr. Speaker, the government pays the capitation. But teachers have put up levy that they buy food. Students must eat it in school. They're forced to pay whether they ate or they did not eat. Students drop out, Mr. Speaker. What is the minister doing? against our students. And Mr. Speaker, we passed a motion, Committee of Implementation, answered by this ministry that no school will be allowed now to sell uniforms